Good evening, Miami Northwestern Senior High School Bulls, and welcome to Mr. Copolillo's Enlightening Skill Building Sessions. Tonight I'm going to teach you something you'll really need to know for us to move towards AP level work. I'm going to teach you how to make and take interactive notes in our reading using a few different strategies. The first question, of course, that you have is, Mr. C, why do I need to learn this? So, I'm giving you an example from my own life. Reading for understanding, of course, is not easy. For really understanding is not easy. In my high school career and my early college career, I worked myself way too hard because I wasn't organized. I didn't have the right strategies I needed to be a successful reader for understanding. After I started applying these things, I didn't only work hard, right, which you'll do in my class, but I also worked smart. Instead of having to work so hard to master this content that was a little bit more basic, I worked smart. While you learn to work hard in my class, you also learn to work smart. So when we get into really difficult work, you won't have to bother with all this stuff, okay? You'll get into understanding it, okay, and then applying it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to teach you is something called scholar rating. Let's take a closer look. When we read for understanding, we're looking for four big things. Number one, our main idea. Our main idea. Number two, any contributing ideas. Contributing ideas are ideas that help us understand the main idea. Number three is vocabulary. Key words that are important to our understanding of this main idea. And finally, the reason we do all of this is for the big skill, tying it all together, so that you can take several pieces of information from text that is related and tie it all together, make it all applicable, make it understandable. Let's look at exactly how to do this. When I scholar rate, I want to have a few different tools with me. I want to have a pen, and I want to have a highlighter. Maybe a couple different color pens. Okay, this one is black, this one is blue. For the time being, I'm going to use my blue pen and my highlighter. When you start off, you make a key. See what I did right here? Okay. Again, we're looking for our main idea, so that's going to be highlighted. I'm going to underline my contributing idea and put a box around a key vocabulary word. If I don't know something, I'm going to go ahead and circle it as an unknown vocabulary word I can come back to later. So, I've modeled a little bit what we can do to read for understanding. Turn to page 6 in your workbook and follow along with me. At the end of the last ice age, around 800 BC, a major change took place. You know what, before I get into that, everybody take a look at this heading right here. What does it say? The Neolithic Revolution. And just like we identified on the first day in class, when something is bigger than everything else and it's at the top, just like you guys said, it's the title, right? It's the title, and therefore, it's going to be our main idea. We're looking at things in this passage that tell us more about the Neolithic Revolution. So, main idea. Back to reading for understanding. At the end of the last ice age, around 8000 BC, a major change took place. Following along with me, people began to plant and grow food on a regular basis, what we call systematic agriculture. This is an important key vocabulary word, so I went ahead and boxed it up. They also began to tame and keep animals as a source of meat, milk, and wool. This adaptation of animals for human use is called domestication. I boxed that one up too. Important. The change from gathering food and hunting animals to putting crops and taming animals is called the Neolithic Revolution. Our main idea, because it took place in the Neolithic Age. The Neolithic Age is the period of human history from 8000 to 4000 BC. Some historians believe this revolution was the single most important development in human history. It gave humans greater control over their environment. It also meant that they could stop being nomads and live in settled communities. This tells us more information about our main idea, the Neolithic Revolution. It explicitly defines it, okay? Defines it in clear terms. And we want to make sure we have that down. So we highlight it. This is exactly what our main idea is. Then we move on and see between 8,000 and 5,000 BC, systematic agriculture, this is our vocab word, developed in different parts of the world. Okay, so now we have this information which helps us apply, contributes to our knowledge of the Neolithic Revolution. And down here it gives a whole lot of examples. We're going to underline this first part as a contributing idea. I'll skip down here. Take a look at where my main idea highlights are. Main idea highlights often appear at the end or the very beginning of a paragraph. That's the best place to present the main idea. Then generally people get into contributing ideas underneath. That's what happens in this third paragraph. Because people were no longer forced to move from place to place to find food, they began to live in settlements. Historians call these settlements Neolithic farming villages. Then we have it underlined. Two of the largest ones were in Jericho, in Palestine near the Dead Sea, and Katal Hanuk. I'm going to go ahead and box up Jericho and Katal Hanuk. I don't know what they are, but since it says they're such important examples, I think I might want to look into it a little bit more. Okay? These are key vocabulary words. Examples, okay, that we want to look into just a little bit more. Now say you keep reading. You skip down to right here. For example, some people became artisans. Artisans were skilled workers, made such items as weapons and jewelry. These items could be traded with other people. In Katal Hanuk, shrines and statues. Whoa, what is that word? Right here. Let's say I didn't know what the word shrines meant. I'm going to go ahead and circle it so I can come back to it later. If I understand without shrines, okay, then I'll keep reading. If not, I'll stop, look it up, and then keep going. All this stuff is going to help us contribute to the main idea, okay, and not only answer the question at the end, but be able to go back and look at this completely, totally, effectively. Our second strategy, moving right along, this one is called taking Cornell notes. You guys all should have gotten this handout on Friday. The one that looks like this. It says Cornell notes at the top. When we take Cornell notes, we have two sides. One is the Q side, the question side. The other is the answer side. And again, what we're looking at is how to apply the main idea, contributing ideas, and vocabulary as a part of the big skill, tying it all together. So in Cornell notes, this is a little bit easier to see. We have the questions explicitly stated on the left. And then at the bottom, we have a put it together section where you can apply all the different questions and let me know how they relate. So this one I modeled on our first homework assignment. Remember what we did the first day in class. This first week, I defined for you that we need to do AP work by the end of the year. So to know where you're going, you have to know where you're end. The way we come up with these questions is by looking at the ones they're going to ask us in the book. For now, take a look at number 10, number 11, right? And finally, number 12. You guys have turned this in, so you probably won't have it right in front of you, and that's okay. But what I want you to realize, okay, is that I check these questions. Number 10, number 11, number 12. The information at the end. After I have that, I can begin to write it down on my question side. I would write these down on my answer side. I already have them here, so I'm not going to repeat it exactly. But then, that'll let us look at exactly what the answers are and how they relate. You guys see all the stuff that I wrote right here? For example, how do the questions, how do archaeologists and anthropologists determine the age of objects we find? Number 2, what two subgroups developed from Homo sapiens? Number 3, How did the Paleolithic people get their food? How does it all fit together? Because there are no written records from prehistory, archaeologists and anthropologists use various techniques to inform us about these themes, these times. It is from these dating methods that we are able to create theories about how humans developed. The current theory is that human development happened in 3 phases. At first, only humans did not make things easy for themselves. Early humans did not make things easy for themselves. People who lived in the Paleolithic age, like Neanderthals and Homo sapiens sapiens, followed their food everywhere, hunting and gathering. However, they did create things to make their lives easier, like building tools and making clothing from animal skins. So you see there how I tied everything together, how I made everything relevant? Of course you do. And if you don't, you guys know my email address, and feel free to always send me an email. Now, try this, the Cornell's note sheet, for this reading pages 5 through 8. Again, if you have a question, you may always email me. Have a great time doing your homework, which I know is exactly what you want to do. Have a good night, Bulls.